Silence speaks. Deep in the jungle, the Amazon cradles an ecosystem that thrives on rage. Too close for comfort, slithering beneath ancient waters in murky shadows, colossal predators lie in wait for unsuspecting prey. While apex hunters dictate the waters, a simple truth holds as law. A law that not all hunters bear teeth, and sometimes the smallest fish swallow the largest prey. On September 13th, Terence Bud Crawford, a two-division champ who has spent most of his career at welterweight, meets the naturally larger alpha male of the super middleweight division.
King Canelo rules supreme.
Two divisions up from his natural weight class in a mouth-watering matchup for the ages. With one kind of tune-up fight at 154 pounds against Israel Madrimov, who arguably gave Terence his hardest fight, doubters are concerned about how his power might carry against the mighty Canelo, a fighter who has previously tipped the scales at light heavyweight on 2 occasions. To prepare, let us look back through the history books at moments when fighters have stepped up from smaller weight divisions to knock out champs. This is when prey feast on predators. Now, there are many instances across boxing history where naturally smaller fighters have eaten champs alive. I'm a new face on this platform, so please like and subscribe, and make sure to leave a comment on fights that I've missed. Let's go. First up, Canelo versus Kovalev. In the build-up of Kovalev versus Canelo, many thought Canelo's decision to move up 2 weight classes for the challenge was pure insanity, especially against an absolute animal like Kovalev, one of the most dangerous punchers in his division at that time.
Crusher, the man who just destroyed people, who was the boogeyman for so long that no one wanted to fight. You're like, what is he thinking?
A career-long light heavyweight with 30 knockouts on his record. He had wins and losses, facing the end of his career, and he had proven that he had the beast within to fight through adversity, bite on the gum shield, and grip onto the belt when necessary. This is what made him so dangerous. And the truth was that he had nothing to lose.
The guy with nothing to lose, well, obviously Kovalev in this fight is extremely dangerous. Because he's been the champ, he's taken losses.
The Crusher in big trouble.
He is clear what his break-even point is. That's a person who will try anything.
This mentality was present in his previous fight against Yard, fight that he dominated up into the 8th, when the beast from the East started to unload big shots, empty in the tank.
Right hand from Yard.
Got him rocked.
He's in trouble here, Kovalev, is he? Big right hand. This is the opportunity. Like Kovalev's on rocky territory.
Turned the tide of that fight, KOing Yard to set up a monster pay-per-view with Canelo.
Oh, he's gone. He's gone. It was the left hand that did it. And the fight, I think, is all over there.
The biggest fight of his life and career so far. A fight that Canelo was extremely hungry for.
Delicioso.
In the build-up to that bout, there were reports that big money was on the table for Yard to step aside and take a back seat.
They were trying to make the Canelo fight, but to Anthony's credit, he was offered $1 million to step aside and he refused to take it. He said, I want to come here, I want to go to his backyard and I want to fight him.
He rejected the $1 million offer, knowing that a win would give him a seat at the table to fight Canelo himself. In the aftermath, Canelo would get his moment in a fight that was booked to take place at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. But this version of Canelo felt different.
Me tenía mucha confianza, siempre mi fortaleza, mis habilidades.
Even amongst the distractions of a media campaign of this size and scale, which footage circulating of the two fighters meeting prior to a press conference in the build-up to the fight, showcasing the physical disadvantages that the mighty Canelo would have to overcome. But whilst people questioned Canelo's leap of faith, he believed, and this version of Canelo was cold. On November 2nd, 2019, he would finally get his chance to make his debut in his new division. A debut that would end with Kovalev sleeping on the canvas, waking to the sounds of anthemic Mexican music. From the early stages, it was clear that Alvarez had adapted his style to dismiss the larger opponent, coming in with a high guard and utilising head movement to close the distance. He cracked Kovalev multiple times in the opening exchanges and had the Russian champ thinking twice about sitting down on his shots, showcasing an iron chin. After the 4th round, Canelo had worked out the range, countering to the body with hard, punishing shots. Sergey slowed, opening more opportunities for damaging strikes from Canelo. Strikes that would culminate in the 11th round.
Kovalev's hurt. Kovalev's down. Kovalev's out. It's over.
And that
is maybe the most vicious KO of Canelo's career.
The fight-ending sequence was a beauty. Alvarez stepped up in the pressure to knock Kovalev out with a two-piece combination from the trenches. Out cold. This win is highly, highly underrated in my opinion. The night Canelo became the only ex-welterweight champ since Thomas Hearns to step up 2 divisions to light heavyweight and smash the champ, all at 5'7". Kovalev had thumping power in both fists, a piston jab like a hydraulic press, and was highly dangerous. Canelo was a predator from the deep that night. Amazing stuff. Next up, let's go back in time a bit. Buster Douglas versus Evander Holyfield.
19-0 with 15 knockouts, he is the self-proclaimed real deal. The undisputed cruiserweight champion turned heavyweight contender.
Evander Holyfield had made history at cruiserweight, becoming the first man in history to win all 3 major sanctioning organizations' world title belts.
Why move up to heavyweight? Because that's not really your natural weight. You're more of a skinnier kid taking a major risk here.
Yeah, but I knew that I would be lying to myself to stay in cruiserweight. I was the strongest in cruiserweight. I was the strongest person cruiser.
Knocking out James Tillis in his debut at heavyweight, he followed up his perfect record with another finish over former champ Pinkman Thomas in the same year, certifying himself as a real contender in this division.
And so Friday night, the world gets to see if the real deal is the new deal, or just another hopeful Tyson dance partner in a lackluster heavyweight division.
Regarded as the #1 contender to Mike Tyson, who became the undisputed champion of the division by knocking out Michael Spinks in '88, a match between the two was signed for June 18, 1990. And Tyson elected to take a tune-up fight against fringe contender James Buster Douglas in Tokyo.
And the only legitimate challenger left was Evander Holyfield. Their meeting was much anticipated, but slow in the making. So Tyson signed up for a quick payday against an undistinguished opponent, James Buster Douglas from Columbus, Ohio.
A fighter who had been a talented top challenger in the past, but was considered to be well out of his prime.
Who looked like a sitting duck for Mike Tyson.
Buster Douglas was one of the great underachievers of his time.
He had a reputation for being out of shape and not paying too much attention to training. As a result, most casinos didn't even bother to make odds for the fight. The only one that did, the Mirage, still Tyson as a 42-1 favourite. Lucky for some, fortune favoured the brave that night.
What an uppercut by Douglas, and down goes Tyson.
Following Buster Douglas' shocking 10th round knockout of Mike Tyson, fame and fortune blessed the newly crowned undisputed champ with opportunities to capitalise on his success with glamour and gold. He had, of course, stolen the thunder from one of the most feared champs in history, and in staying in the limelight, he also garnered the right to decide who his next opponent would be too. Instead of snatching the person a rematch, he opted to fight Holyfield, who sat patiently in waiting ringside in Tokyo, a snake in the grass, ready to strike whoever became champ that night with venomous intentions. Unfortunately for him, Buster Douglas was a juicy sitting duck.
The weight for James Buster Douglas is 246.
Well, he's allowed additional motivation to be given to Evander Holyfield, because I guarantee you Evander Holyfield will be throwing body shots all night long.
Pulling an Andy Ruiz in his second fight of Joshua, fucking massive, and clocking in at 246 pounds. He's heavier since his fight of Dion Simpson in 1985. He came out slow and sluggish and was fist whipped from start to finish, with Evander easily dominating the first 2 rounds. In the third, Douglas attempted to hit Holyfield with a hard uppercut that he telegraphed terribly, and the cruiserweight made him pay for it, counter-punching him with a beautiful right hand that landed flush on the chin. The fight was called, and a new era was beckoned in, the era of Evander Holyfield. Pacquiao versus Hatton.
This really is the showdown of the 2 most popular fighters in the world today. It will be the fight of the decade.
By 2009, Manny was a global superstar.
Every time he goes back to the Philippines, he's making a movie, making a record. I always wait for him to come through the wild card doors and maybe not have the dedication or the discipline that he once had. And I haven't seen that yet.
Having already conquered 5 divisions, notably flyweight, super bantam, featherweight, super featherweight and lightweight, he was used to relying on technical skill to hunt bigger fish. After TKOing David Diaz to win the WBC lightweight belt in his first attempt, he retired Oscar De La Hoya in round 8, showcasing his ability to dominate the lightweight division if he stayed. However, the Pac-Man decided to push onwards and upwards and challenge himself at 140 pounds. Many question whether his power would significantly carry up to another weight division, especially against a dominant champ like Ricky. Both home and away, the Hitman's popularity turns enemy territory into home soil, and Vegas was Ricky's Hatton Wonderland.
I think I have a
wonderful fan base. It's clear to see every time I come to Vegas, droves and army of fans come to watch me.
In the build-up to Ricky's fight, a division up at welterweight against defensive maestro and technical genius Floyd Mayweather, 30 to 35,000 Brits flooded the city in support, terraforming its streets into a sea of Manchester City blue shirts. It was clear that Vegas blossomed when Hatton's Miracle Grow persona and fan-friendly style was in the city, regardless of the result on the night.
This is the finish, I think, now. Joe Cortez waves the fight off.
Mayweather knocked Hatton out following a dominant performance, but his aura was intact. He dared to dream, and it proved a point. Vegas was Hatton's home turf when he was in it. Follow these ambitions at 150 pounds. With 2 dominant victories back at 140, a perfect storm was brewing, both in marketability and stylistically, for him to challenge Manny for his pound-for-pound status, in a fight that should have favoured him as the bigger man. Unfortunately for Ricky, however, they'd overlooked one big fat glaring warning sign at the centre of Ricky's aggressive high-pressure style. Defensively, Ricky was shaky against southpaws. He'd come under fire previously against Louis Collazo, who had weathered Ricky's early storm after suffering a first-round knockdown, and had exposed his vulnerability to left-handed strikes.
Good left hand by Collazo.
Collazo got him winning 3 rounds in a row, winning by 1 point because Hatton scored a knockdown in the first round.
That, and Ricky was about to face the elite boxing prowess of a relentless Filipino master, a living boxing god, a furious southpaw, and a future GOAT of the sport. In conjunction with the event, the classic 24/7 Pacquiao Hatton hyped the action to a casual audience, pulling attention to the event that was due to take place. This, in combination with 2 huge stars in the sport colliding, drew huge pay-per-view offerings in support. But under the lights, the sour taste of defeat would come to fruition quickly.
Down here in the first round. Manny Pacquiao. Final 10 seconds of round 1 and Hatton's down for the second time.
Manny dismantled the Mac in his own backyard, erasing his aggression with quick feet and countering shots, knocking Ricky down twice in the very first rounds. In the second, the unstable and clearly still recovering Englishman pressured Manny in an attempt to regain ground, but it was far too late.
It's always a little better than I thought.
Reading Ricky's game plan, Manny cracked Hatton with a body shot before full sending a left crushing blow that left Ricky flat on his back, dreaming of the beautiful British countryside. Manny was cemented in boxing stardom concrete that day as the greatest in the world, a shockwave that was felt for years by Floyd Mayweather. Roberto Durán versus Davey Moore. What a birthday present this was. By 1983, Durán was already a legend. The Panamanian brawler had torn through the lightweight division in the 70s to stamp his name in the history books with his victory over Sugar Ray Leonard in the brawl in Montreal.
Your tactics worked. You made Leonard fight your fight. Was that the key to the victory?
I told the people of Canada, the people of Panama, and the world that I came here to fight. I didn't come here to be a clown, and you saw what I did in the ring.
Most thought he would capitalise on this success as a fleshed out and hungry champ, but this was not the case. Following the infamous no mass surrender to Leonard in their rematch,
Roberto Durán has quit. There can be no other explanation. Pandemonium in the ring, and Roberto Durán has quit.
and losses to Wilfred Benitez and the little-known Kirkland Lane, many declared him washed up and finished.
Legends die hard, and Louis Enrique was sitting here at ringside with us, showed some genuine emotion of sadness as he watched Roberto Durán, not the man he had been with for years and years and gone through all those glory days with.
When I seen him lose to a fighter, Kirkland Lane, who really couldn't tie his shoestrings, and I felt that it was time for Roberto to retire.
His retraction against Leonard had certainly stained the cloth of his aura, and vultures circled in the skyline, apprehending the wounded once invincible legend. An apex super welter champ, Davey Moore, was ordered to feast. At 24 years old, the undefeated WBA belt holder was yet to meet his limit and was a freshman in comparison to the war-torn legend. A New York Golden Gloves amateur champ with a natural size and reach advantage and ferocious power on tap, Davey was being lined up as boxing's next star and already carried the reputation of being a lethal finisher with 9 knockouts out of 12 fights in his professional career.
You have felt that you haven't gotten enough due from the public.
Well, yeah, people know I can fight. They know I'm a world championship material, but they don't think I can handle the pressure of being a world champion.
Durán admitted that a loss to Moore would possibly lead to his retirement, with promotion leaning heavily on the contrast between past and present. Although Durán had made some ground, beating Jimmy Batten by decision and Jose Cuevas by TKO, Moore wasn't impressed with his performances, stating, "Was Duran looking so good or Cuevas so bad?" But little did Moore know that these hands of stone were impervious to heat, and that this passing of the torch moment would ignite a flame that would soon engulf Moore in an uncontrollable blaze that would end with a crisp finish. On his 32nd birthday with candles lit, Duran immediately began to take over. Round by round, he punished the younger champ.
He was swarming on me so much, I just didn't have enough time to get my punches off.
Duran himself had stated, "What will beat Moore is not only my experience, but my conditioning." And this turned out to be true.
Roberto Durán personifies the perfect boxer. Mental energy, self-control, determination, plus a lot of ability.
Moore's corner urged him to weather the storm.
So my thought was, I was really contemplating the 7th round, but Davey Moore have an ability to come back when he's hurt. Now, I knew that he was being punished severely, but I just thought that a little more time might have changed the outcome.
But it was pretty clear from the offset that he wasn't built for this kind of brutality. In the 8th round, after a savage barrage left Moore defenseless, the referee stepped in. Duran had touched the stove with stone hands that night and left with the belt firmly on his shoulders, with more fights at his feet. Just before I get to my final entry, I want to give a special shout out to Bud Crawford versus Jeff Horn. I would have covered this fight, but in all honesty, I didn't really think that it fit. Yes, Terence stepped up in weight and stopped the champ, but honestly, outside of that controversial victory over Manny, he really has done nothing special to deserve the title of an apex predator. Crawford really swallowed him up whole on that occasion. So, last of all, Naoya Inoue versus Stephen Fulton by snatching Paul Butler's WBO belt from his waist in the 11th round by knockout.
And a big right hand that comes in. Great work from
Inoue had become the first undisputed bantamweight champion in boxing's 4-belt era. Basking in his glory in front of the home crowd at the Ariake Arena in Tokyo, Japan, he had terrorized 3 divisions, ascending through the ranks with limited turbulence from flyweight through to bantamweight, with a perfect undefeated record and plenty of knockouts in the process. Knockouts that included early finishes over undefeated champ Omar Narvaez and Hall of Famer Nonito Donaire. Following his beatdown of the Englishman on home soil, rumours milled of a step up to Super Bantam, and before long it was announced that Inoue would vacate his belts and move up to 122 pounds. A move that left many questioning whether his smaller size would blunt his breakneck climb to boxing immortality. Echoes of the move began to filter through to champions of the Super Bantamweight division, and when news reached Stephen Fulton, fighter who had controversially unified the WBC and WBO titles in the division in a close decision win against Brandon Figueroa, the blueprints of a plan would be put together to make the fight happen in Japan on enemy territory.
I told my coach that I'm going to go to Japan to fight him, and he didn't understand. He's like, "Man, why would you do that?" It's the same thing. Why would you do that? And I said, that's a big fight. I said, trust me, I know what I'm talking about.
Little did Stephen Fulton know that this plan would change the trajectory of his own future in the division permanently. In his most recent fight, Fulton's slick style and calm composure undid Daniel Roman, surgically dismantling the fully unified champ. He believed that he was in the top 10 conversation for pound-for-pound status, and believed that he had the IQ and discipline to stifle the smaller man moving up. A win on Japanese soil would have cemented his name at the top of the sport, and this was a rare gamble for an American champion. The 2 undefeated fighters collided in Tokyo, and it would quickly become apparent who was the dog and who was the dinner. Inoue didn't just make a successful debut at Super Bantamweight, he annihilated an undefeated champion in his prime.
Right hand hurts him. Oh, a huge right hand from the monster.
Tearing away Fulton's aura and leaving Tokyo vibrating with a sense that a new era had begun. So, on September 13th, Crawford and Canelo meet, having both made the leap to bigger divisions to KO champs in the past. I'm still trying to figure out who wins, and to be honest, I can't wait to find out. One thing is for certain though, you should like and subscribe if you like this video. At the moment, I'm trying to get my channel monetized so that I can spend more time making content. To do that, I need 1K subscribers, so that's my goal. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing suggestions in the comments on who I missed out on.